to Good Game. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex.
A word of warning about tonight's show. It's going to have some serious ups and downs.
What do you mean?
Well, we're going to review Planet Coaster, which is a roller coaster game.
Oh, I see.
Planet Coaster.
Plus, we get a little bit naughty in Tyranny.
Evil, Hex. You're evil in Tyranny.
Yeah, but you know me, I always play it tame.
More like lame.
Also on the show, Goose celebrates the 25th anniversary of the almighty Blizzard. Can you believe they've been around 25 years, Bajo?
Well, before all that, can you name the game for this week?
Oh yes, nice and stinky does it.
There haven't been many theme park management sims in the last decade, but much like Space Sims, they're making a bit of a comeback, and leading the charge is Planet Coaster.
This is the true successor to the Roller Coaster Tycoon series, since it was made by the same developers.
Yes, but confusingly, a new Roller Coaster Tycoon game came out the same week as this, but it's made by someone else. But judging by the Steam reviews and our time with both games, we'd say there isn't much competition. Planet Coaster is the better game.
And if you've never played anything like this before, the basics are pretty simple. You just build a theme park and make it profitable, which isn't that hard.
Yes, but the real fun and challenge comes from building the best damn theme park ever.
And there are 3 modes to start you off with: Career, Challenge, and Sandbox. Sandbox lets you just choose a plot of land and get building without having to worry about cash flow or researching new rides. While Challenge is basically just Sandbox, but with the added worry of having to do research and make a profit.
And this is where people will spend most of their time, I think. But the career is good if you want a bit of structure to your game, since it's basically an extended tutorial. It's good for newcomers.
Yeah, it's split up into a bunch of levels. And these put you in partially built, pre-designed theme parks and give you a few challenges to complete in order to get a possible 3-star rating. And the later levels are locked off until you've earned enough stars.
The challenges start off simple and walk you through the basics, like building shops, employing staff, or achieve certain ratings. It's quite satisfying working your way through the challenges though, but I think my favourite part of it is just seeing what the developers have managed to build and then taking that as inspiration for my own parks.
Yeah, I realised I had to massively step up my game when I saw this. Sure, it looks like a kind of dull car ride, but it was actually an animatronic tour de force that would make Walt Disney proud. Made even my most hectic coaster seem basic in comparison, Bajo.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that makes this such a truly excellent theme park game. They give you the tools you need to create some really detailed rides and experiences. It lets even the most creatively challenged amongst us make something truly awesome.
I especially love the terrain editor too. It's super powerful and really easy to use. You can basically just paint in the landscape and it will respond to anything already there, so you can build intricate caves, tunnels, and mountains in no time flat.
Yeah, it's great, and there's all those special effects and animatronics you can build that turn rides into stories. You can even set up special trigger points along rides so that effects and scenes play out perfectly every time, which all adds to the overall excitement rating for that ride too.
And it's great that you can really get into the nitty-gritty of creating some buildings as well. There's just so many bits and pieces to play with.
Yeah, it's actually incredible. I'm not going to do it though, because it's a lot of work, but I am glad that it's there, and there's already some great user-generated content out there. The other major thing this game gets right is the overall joy of the simulation and just managing that. Watching people naturally spread out through the park, trying to satisfy all their different wants and needs, and of course, the coaster simulation is top-notch. And there's so many different types to play with.
Yeah, trying to get that perfect balance of excitement, fear, and nausea is the kind of thing that keeps you up at night as you dream of your next great coaster. I did find the construction tools a little fiddly to start off with, but you quickly get the hang of them.
The camera can be a bit fiddly at times too. Sometimes it just lurches across the map or gets stuck behind something. It's by no means a deal breaker, but there just were a few times where I had to fight it.
It does all look great though, doesn't it? Everything is brimming with colour and character, and when you see a beautifully designed park all bristling with rides and customers, it's a joy to behold.
What do you think of the whole business management side of things?
A bit mixed, I think. I just find the early stages of setting up a park to be quite repetitive. Usually you just place a couple of thrill rides and set the game to fast forward and wait for the money to trickle in before you can build anything else.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you do need to just leave it alone for a while. You know, I'd go away and go make a sandwich or play with the cats, give them a good brush, and then come back and there's 10K in my bank. If only real life was like that. And 10K while brushing cats, that'd be the dream.
Celebrity cat groomer, maybe? Maybe.
10 grand. I still found it satisfying dealing with all the businessy stuff though, promoting and managing staff, or tinkering with ticket prices and priority passes, balancing out your budget with marketing and research. There is a formula to it, but there's heaps to play with and it keeps it fun.
Yeah, Planet Coaster is about creating the theme park of your dreams, and this gives you everything you need to do that with powerful creation tools and a beautiful sandbox to do it in, so I'm giving it 4.
Yeah, at times this took me right back to the 90s Hex playing Theme Park on the Mega Drive, so I'm giving it 4 as well. Hex, I've lost thousands and thousands of hours to Blizzard games, and I have no regrets.
Yeah, well, I regret some of it, but it has been a long and emotional relationship. Goose has a look back at how Blizzard became one of the pillars of the industry.
Making games is a complicated craft, and making great games is akin to pulling off a miracle. But one studio has pulled off that miracle time and time again in almost every genre it's tackled. Today, it's a studio known for its pantheon of gaming universes: WARCRAFT, STARCRAFT, Diablo, and its most recent addition, Overwatch. But of course, it's been a long journey to get here, and with 2016 marking its 25th anniversary, what better time to look back at this titan of the games industry, Blizzard. Founded in 1991 in Irvine, California by a trio of university graduates, the team originally called themselves Silicon and Synapse, and their first works were simply ports of other games like Battle Chess and Lord of the Rings. But they soon started making original games, although the first one was a remake, so, you know, baby steps. But RPM Racing, a remake of Racing Destruction Set, laid the groundwork for their first original game, the hit Rock and Roll Racing. Combining the thrills of racing with lo-fi rock and roll like never before. They also made a game about Vikings getting abducted by aliens. It was a different time back then. Perhaps the word that best describes these earlier games would be fun. The team knew that with the simpler technology of the time, focusing on fun gameplay would be key to winning gamers' hearts. And to this day, Blizzard's mission statement is led by the core value, gameplay first. After being acquired by the now defunct edutainment company Davidson & Associates in 1994, they rebranded, and so Chaos Studios was born, until they realised someone else had that name. So they quickly changed their name again to the one we know and love today, Blizzard Entertainment Incorporated, or just Blizzard to fans. And it was under this name that they truly made a name for themselves. After releasing platformer Blackthorn and brawler The Death and Return of Superman, Blizzard released a franchise that became one of the most beloved and well-known properties in all of gaming. The studio at the time wanted to make a game using the Warhammer license, but the deal fell through, so they made their own universe, WARCRAFT.
Yes, my lord.
It was among the vanguard of the emerging real-time strategy genre, and undoubtedly helped popularise it, while laying down foundations that the genre still follows today.
Can the formalities, Uther. I'm not king yet. It's good to see you.
It even gave gamers the tools and inspiration to create the now world-dominating genre of MOBAs, with Dota emerging as a fan-made mod of Warcraft 3. And that inspiration, of course, came full circle with the recent Heroes of the Storm, a game that champions Blizzard's characters, world design, and legacy, now conveniently wrapped up in the form of a MOBA. It sounds like the perfect recipe, however, it's actually one of the few times Blizzard hasn't been able to absolutely dominate the world with its take on a genre. But more importantly, Warcraft marked the beginning of a wholly different focus for Blizzard: compelling storytelling. So we saw the first iteration of Blizzard's now famous CG cutscenes, which easily rival the quality of the best animation houses in the world. Through adding story, they wanted to build universes that could give meaning to players' actions and create fantastical worlds that felt real and lived in. And as fictional worlds go, there is none more lived in than Warcraft's, thanks to the cultural phenomenon that is World of Warcraft. It may not have been the first massively multiplayer online game ever made, but it certainly became the most popular. Upon release, its player base grew up to over 12 million people happily paying a monthly fee to adventure through the realms of Azeroth, with millions still enjoying it today thanks to continued expansions over the years, maintaining WoW as the gold standard of MMOs. It's created and destroyed friendships and marriages. It spawned countless tales of heroism. It's permeated pop culture.
I'm logged on to an MMORPG with people from all over the world and getting XP with my party using TeamSpeak.
And in its wake, no other MMO out there has ever achieved the same level of success that WoW has, try as they might. And if MMOs aren't your thing, you're just as likely to have become a collectible card game fiend thanks to Hearthstone. A surprise hit, born out of a small passion project within Blizzard, that has gone on to enthrall many a gamer. And now in 2016, almost every other game seems to want a slice of that collectible card game pie. Of course, Warcraft went on to spawn more than just a hugely successful MMO. It also led to the creation of a national pastime for an entire country, and one of the most influential esports titles of all time. STARCRAFT emerged as a sci-fi take on Warcraft's fantastical strategic gameplay. But when it was first revealed, many saw it as simply orcs in space, and Blizzard knew the game needed more time to stand out on its own. So they delayed it, by a year and a half. Blizzard still infamously holds a policy of only releasing games when they're ready, and if it's never ready, it never comes out. As it reads in their mission statement, most gamers won't remember if a game was late, only whether it was great. And sure, this does frustrate fans who may have been looking forward to StarCraft Ghost or the long-awaited WoW follow-up Project Titan, which were both cancelled after years of development and millions of dollars of investment. But this high bar does guarantee an all-too-rare seal of quality on Blizzard's games.
Your freedom awaits.
Hell, it's about time.
Tyranny.
And StarCraft is a huge testament to that policy.
Damn straight.
Upon release, it clearly perfected the scissors, paper, rock style of balance that all other strategy games now try to emulate. It also told an epic space saga of 3 distinct warring factions. So, while Warcraft may have long since passed the mantle of its franchise to WoW and Hearthstone, StarCraft remains the studio's flag in the ground as ruler of the RTS genre.
Sir, Dominion ships warping in.
Sweet mother of mercy.
And at that same time, another pillar of the studio emerged with the RPG clickathon Diablo, a dark realm full of demons ready to be clicked on and drained of their foul souls and epic loot.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
While it may not have become a national sport or a runaway money printer, Diablo still won legions of devoted fans. An addictive action RPG that took us to hell and back, and a great example of Blizzard's signature juicy design, where every click is a rewarding experience, every element of the screen a joy to interact with. However, the eventual release of Diablo 3 may have been a rare stumble for the studio, following an infamously troubled launch, the requirement to always be online when playing solo, overloaded servers, and a contentious real-world money auction house. Honestly, we expected better. But true to its commitment to fans and its games, the feedback was heard. The auction house was scrapped, and the ship was rightened. And now, in its 25th year, Blizzard enters the ubiquitous and overly crowded first-person shooter market with Overwatch.
3, 2, 1. Capture the objective.
Let's do it!
While it may have been its first attempt at a first-person shooter, Overwatch has rapidly earned a large devoted fan base, who not only love it for its impeccably balanced and unique gameplay, but also its characters and story, which is impressive considering there's essentially no campaign in the game. Instead, Blizzard's animation department cleverly created short films to flesh out each character's backstory, and then weave those stories back into the game's world.
Establishing agent connections.
These are characters that just beg to be cosplayed and for fans to make their own stories with, so they can have a real sense of ownership. In its own words, Blizzard is a company dedicated to creating the most epic gaming experiences ever. It's a developer that loves its fans and rewards them for their loyalty. It's helped shape the entire gaming world, helping foster esports, new genres, and communities like almost no other developer, all while continually setting the bar for innovation, polish, and design. So Blizzard, congratulations on an exceptional 25 years. And here's to 25 more.
Always remember, never accept the world as it appears to be. Dare to see it for what it could be.
Tyranny is a new PC role-playing game from Obsidian Entertainment, the makers of Pillars of Eternity and Neverwinter Nights 2. Hex, it's hard to find a developer as experienced with RPGs as Obsidian.
Yeah, and we're used to most RPGs being the usual hero's journey, where you're thrust into some sort of conflict, you develop powers, and then save the day. Tyranny, however, is a little different.
Yes, it's time to embrace your dark side.
All who stood against them fell before their might.
We can't allow your foolish decision to destroy us all!
You would dare harm me?
As the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die.
Whether your acts are favorable or heinous, it falls to you to bring greatness to this campaign.
The world of Tyranny is a place where the battle for good and evil is over. And hey, guess what? Evil won. Everyone bows to the laws of the mysterious overlord Kairos, who is unseen but universally feared. You play one of his Fatebinders, an enforcer of the laws of the land, who has been tasked with bringing the remaining tiers under Kairos' rule.
For the glory of Kairos!
Fatebinder, you're here at last. But how you exert that power is left up to you. Are you a cruel and violent law enforcer, or do you prefer to manipulate and deceive to get what you want?
You are playing a dangerous game, Binder. If you wish to hold a venomous serpent so close, I will allow you your own self-destruction.
I found it really interesting the way this game lets you explore being the bad guy.
Yeah, me too. And it's really refreshing because none of it is obvious.
In the early days of 428, Kairos' armies...
The game actually starts with a really clever prologue called Conquest, a bit like a choose-your-own-adventure that is purely about making tough decisions. It's such a cool idea, the way that it fleshes out a backstory for your character and then lets you create a reputation and take that into the game.
Yeah, and you pretty quickly have to start choosing sides between the different factions that exist under the Overlord's rule. Like the solemn soldiers of the disfavored, or the feisty warriors of the Scarlet Chorus who are constantly at each other's throats.
For some strange reason, we can't seem to recall which balding halfwit grossly underestimated the enemy. Thoughts?
Incompetent or in cahoots, either way, this mess has your filthy stink all over it.
And of course, instead of taking sides, you could always try to be the ultimate bad guy and play them off against each other.
That's far enough, Fatebinder.
These Obsidian RPGs are always so well written, Bajo. There is a lot of reading to be done. I mean, so much dialogue.
Tell me though, with the edict looming over, let us speak of Ascension Hall. Silence.
but it makes it feel so fleshed out, and you can go as deep into the lore as you want to.
And there is a lot of lore, like any fantasy game like this. There's so much to remember, so many names and places, it's very easy to forget it. But this game does something incredible and simple to help you. All you have to do is hover your mouse over certain parts of the dialogue to be reminded of who someone is or what they're referring to.
Yourselves. Blood and Mark will see to your fate.
This is such a good idea, especially with a game that's as dense as this. And the next time I play a game like this, which doesn't have this feature, I'm gonna be sad, Hex.
Yeah, me too. But once you start building your party, you want to have lots of chats with your companions to learn more about them and start figuring out who you want at your side as you enforce the law of Kairos. I thought there was some pretty twisted stuff in there. Like the disfavored soldier Barak, who is fused inside his armor and fears his body is rotting or that he's already dead.
We will not be separated. When the war is over, perhaps Tunon will lend me one of his forge bound. Until then, here I remain.
Gross.
Yeah, they've written some great characters here. Barak's story is pretty depressing. And his contrast against his spirited sister, Verse,
Try and catch me, worm.
who belongs to the Scarlet Chorus, who are mystical and violent. And you can figure out how to increase your loyalty with each of these companions, or just make them outright fear you. Both of which can lead to some really cool companion combos in the combat.
Ah, it's great combat, isn't it? Just like in Pillars of Eternity, this is a real-time combat system that can be paused at any time, allowing you to micromanage the actions of your party as much as you want.
Good work.
Or you can just let them autopilot on a preset AI behavior.
Your days end here.
And it's all about choosing who to target, and then juggling those cooldowns on your abilities. Deciding when to cast a buff, heal, or use those special companion moves.
You ready for this? I'll tear your skeleton out by your ass.
Yeah, and I'd sometimes forget to use those. The game's already got some great spells, which you can customize yourself with the sort of rune system. Those companion combos are really useful, like that magical rain of swords you can conjure with Barak.
Good work.
I used his taunting combo a lot because he's such a good tank. I also had the Beast Woman, Kills in Shadow, in my party.
We'll kill. We'll rip throat out.
And I really liked using her combo, a dashing pounce move. I found that a nice way of initiating combat to get a good first hit in.
We'll slaughter.
Yeah, I always had the Scholar Lantry in my party as a healer because he's got some great buffs, but it's really difficult trying to decide who to have in your party because they're all pretty versatile. This character system lets anyone learn spells or become proficient in a weapon type, so you can really tailor a party to be how you want. I'd often make my companion choices based on their personality.
Yeah. Tyranny is a more linear RPG compared to something like Pillars of Eternity, and I think that's on purpose to make it more replayable, you know, so you'll go back and try different party combos or story threads. It's definitely more a concise story, and even the map locations you adventure to are smaller and more confined, with less to click on.
Yeah, you're never traipsing across big open countryside. The maps pretty much plonk you straight into an encampment or at the entrance to a dungeon.
Found something.
But I liked it being more focused that way.
It also means there's less NPCs to click through. There are a couple of side missions, but they all feed back into that main quest line. You certainly don't end up with a huge shopping list of sub-quests. There's no fetching trinkets for villagers or anything like that, but I kind of like that stuff, Hex.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this case I was pretty happy it wasn't there. Every time I start a new RPG like this, I get that sense of anxiety over the enormity of the task ahead.
I'm going down!
Relearning how that combat works, for example, took a bit of work. I died a lot getting a handle of things like disengagement penalties for moving away from an enemy. This is a deep game with deep mechanics, but I think D&D fans will love all the stats that tick over in the combat window.
Bleed out, you little shit.
Oh, I love all that stuff, Hex. I think this kind of game is a bit daunting, you're right, but also it's for a very specific audience of gamers who do like this kind of thing. I'm so glad they exist. This is the sort of meaty, old-school RPG that the PC is so good at. I find it such a delight digging into those menus and wrapping my head around it all. I love learning new systems, Hex.
And we won't spoil the story, but once you begin to learn the secrets of the giant spires that are situated around the map, You get to start upgrading those as home bases of sorts, where you can learn to craft potions or forge rare ancient weapons and armor. This whole game is geared towards giving you the opportunity to roleplay how you want.
Yeah, and I know, Hex, with these kinds of games, you always like to play the uber goodie who saves everyone, so how did you go being the baddie?
Well, I mean, I think what works with this is that there's different shades of grey that you can explore, kind of like in D&D, how there's different kinds of evil, lawful, chaotic, neutral. Tyranny really explores that, so I found there were still ways for me to be merciful, or at least kind of honourable. Honour amongst thieves, Bajo.
Would you like to have a guess on how I played this game?
Like, ultimate jerk?
Total jerk.
The worst?
Yeah. Evil is just a matter of perspective.
Test my patience, Fatebinder.
I was right in there being a total jerk to everyone.
Wait, I beseech you, don't dispose of me just yet.
I incurred a lot of wrath with pretty much everyone in this world.
Be gone, worm.
Oh, you're a petulant turd. You know that?
And I wouldn't have it any other way. This is a very good RPG. It didn't quite grab me the way that Pillars of Eternity did straight away. It took me about 10 hours to click into that enjoyable evil groove with this one, but I had a good time. I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I do think it feels a little bit rushed in parts, like they didn't quite get the development time they wanted, maybe, but if you're a fan of Obsidian's games, you're going to get that quality in the character development and the writing that you'd expect, so I'm giving it 4 stars.
Oh, Hex! I thought the bullets weren't meant to hurt us!
Look, Bajo, we finally made it into the maze.
Why, Hex? This doesn't look like the Wild West!
Well, maybe this is the world outside the world.
I walked up to him and I looked him in the eye and I said, "This is a great game." I just shot him. Oh, excuse us.
Whoa, what's your business here?
I think they're paying customers, not hosts.
Shit, they're not meant to be in the compound.
Excuse me, kind sir. We're looking for the center of the maze.
Hang on a minute. I know that voice. I thought I killed you, you no-good, no-aim mule of a man.
Bajo, it's the sheriff again.
I thought we wiped his memory.
I did. Did you name the game for this week?
Run! It was Dog's Life for the PS2. This game is an action-adventure in which you, a dog named Jake, must sniff out clues to find your crush, Daisy, a Labrador retriever who's been nabbed by the dog catchers.
Oh, yes, she will be mine.
A real Lady in the Tramp tale, Hex.
It sure was. And it was our Name the Game because it was made by Frontier Developments, the same team behind this week's Planet Coaster.
Hex, I wonder if those two really attractive people will ever escape that hairy internet cowboy.
We'll just have to wait and see, Bajo. But our Name the Game competition has now closed. Thank you so much to everyone who sent in an entry. We'll be showing off some of our favourites and naming the winner of the fabled mystery box in next week's show.
And speaking of next week's show, it's our final episode of the year, and we have a 1-hour Christmas special coming your way.
Sleigh bells ringing and something to.
I promise there'll be no singing from Hex. Bang along, bang.
That one's my favourite, but I don't know the words to it at all.
Yeah, I like the one that goes. It's just so much stress.
Wasn't it
anxious.
like in Home Alone?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's why you love it.
It makes me feel like that's what Christmas is. Stress and anxiety. Anyway, we'll have a review of Final Fantasy 15. Plus, we look back on the year that was and announce our annual Good Game Award winners for 2016.
I practically had it. You can give it another shot.
And a big thanks to everyone who jumped on the Facebook page to vote and leave your comments. Your opinions have been duly noted. Until next week, Bajo out.
Hex out. Awards time, Bajo.
It's always stressful.
Yeah, you know, last year we couldn't even all decide on a winner for Game of the Year.
No, it was impossible. And I'm struggling a little bit this year too. There's been some great games this year.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not struggling at all.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to having more arguments with you about why I think Overwatch should win.
It's obvious what Game of the Year should be for 2016.
Tell me a negative.
It's obvious.
Tell me one negative thing about Overwatch.
We all know.
I mean,
we all know.
There's nothing bad about it. It's only good.